Hi guys, it's JB back with another video. I am going to replace a right hand drive shaft on a Golf 5 GTI. Now this one has a very seized up bolt. I've only just found that out. Normally you can just get to this stage where your car's all jacked up. It's all safe on axle stands. I even have a wheel under there. It's a bit of extra safety. This bolt, 24mm multi-hex, is absolutely jammed. I tried two different rattle guns, not working. I'd like to have an impact socket in that size, but I don't. They're quite unusual, so I'm using a chrome socket. Eye protection on. If you're using chrome sockets on an air gun, rattle gun or whatever, that can go quite bad and smash a socket, so be careful doing that. The next step is I got someone to jump in the car, put their foot on the brake, and I have tried big breaker bars, still no luck. So I've just been and borrowed a tube off someone from a workshop that will slip over my strongest breaker bar, and I'm going to get someone around here again to put their foot on the brake. I'm also going to try heating the bolt up with a butane gas torch, because if you get them red hot then generally they will come out a lot easier. It's been stuck on here for years and it is very, very tight. Another way I could do it is put the wheel back on, take the centre cap off the wheel, have all the weight on the wheel of the car. I may have to do that still, but because I've just spent ages getting it all ready and jacking it all up, I'm going to try it without doing that first. Alright, stand your foot on the brake. Stop. Alright, that's probably going to end up snapping my tools if I go anymore. So next step is I'm going to heat it up. So one precaution I'm going to take before I put extreme heat onto the bolt is I'm going to unplug this ABS sensor wire, get it out of the way so that there's no chance of that melting. I'm also going to get fire extinguisher on a standby just in case. Not a bad idea when you've got live flames inside your own garage. But no, it should be fine. It should be fine. I just need to get the bolt red hot basically and then give it another go. And hopefully the drive shaft itself is not seized in the hub. If it gets to that stage, then I'll probably give up and save this for a workshop environment. I've actually decided to unscrew the whole ABS sensor, so I left it plugged in, 5mm hex bolt, because that sensor could get hot too. So I'm just going to take that right off, tuck it out of the way somewhere. Should be far enough away. It's only this bolt area I'm going to get red hot, but I'm just being careful.
My friend also has a problem like this, so he snapped my one, so he borrowed this one and then.
Alright, it's getting red hot now. You're closer to it, so I'll jump in. Got on the brake.
Oh, this one is. You ready? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Slowly, yeah. It hasn't cracked off yet, has it? Yeah. Is that hot? Do you want gloves?
Yeah.
Rattle gun it now.
Yeah, the
Hey?
might not be enough.
Ah. I'll hold it still.
One more. Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. So what was that? Oh jeez, is it hot? Yeah.
Be careful, it's hot.
Sucker. Right. Hammer, I'm just going to see.
I'll scan.
Alright. Good news is the drive shaft moved in, so that's not stuck in the
Yeah,
hub.
this is kind of full.
It was just a C bolt. Alright, now the bolt is out and I know the drive shaft moves in the hub, I'm going to continue with the rest of it. I wasn't going to bother because I thought at one stage I may have to take this to a workshop, but the bolt is out. We put a bolt there, by the way, because at one stage we were going to use a screwdriver in the brake disc as another way you can stop the disc from turning. But I've seen that snap fence on the disc before, so I didn't really want to do that. So if you've got two people, you just get someone with the foot on the brake, it's easier. Right, I'm going to move the under tray and just the lower half of this wheel arch liner here. I believe I can leave the top in. I should be able to get to the inner bolts of the drive shaft. I also need to undo three 16mm nuts underneath the ball joint there, and I need to take the nut off the top of the tie rod. Sorry, the top of the sway bar link, anti-roll bar link. I need to take that nut off there. I need to remove that nut there, and I need to remove the 3 nuts down here. Then that arm will easily pull down out the way, and that link will move out the way. Then I'll be able to grab hold of the whole hub assembly. I can leave the brakes connected. I can move that out the way to be able to pull the drive shaft out. Lots of T25 screws, lots of them. Held this wheel arch liner in, so undid all of them after taking the under tray off, because the under tray connects to this, then this connects to the wheel arch there. Okay, so a little bit more room. Now I'm just going to undo the 3 nuts on the ball joint. So I've undone the nut at the top of the sway bar link, which allows that to move out of the way and takes tension off the hub. Now I'm going to undo these 3 16mm. which is way more easier than undoing a nut on the boardroom. Because now this just pushes down, and now that's hanging. So I've got an old shock absorber strut piece here that I use as a punch. It's about 90 years old, but it works great. So tap the end of the drive shaft will come off. Then you've got lots of room in here. Now I've got bolts. I probably could have left that in there actually for now, because then if I put it on neutral I can turn this around, can't I? Yeah. To make it easier to get to the nuts. So I'm still leaving it in the hub at the moment. Then if I can't get to all the drive shaft bolts, I'll pop it in neutral, turn the disc, and that will rotate so I can get to them. So I use a 10mm spline socket on the end of some long extensions. Probably I need another one again, which will bring me right out here, and I can use the gun to undo them. I can do it by hand. I could put a ratchet on there and go underneath and crack them off. It's just harder to film doing that. But yeah, if you've got quite a few extensions, you can get all the way out here. It makes life a lot easier. One more trick before I remove the drive shaft actually. I'm just going to unplug the oil level sensor. So with all Volkswagen plugs, I like to just give it a slight twist there. I'll open the catch, that will come off, because the drive shaft more than likely will fall straight on that wiring loom and has been known to snap them off. So I might even move that out of the way. I'll just leave it there, leave it hanging, should be alright. At least it's not going to damage that now. So I'm going to start to undo all of these drive shaft bolts next. Yeah, cool. Alright, so now I've undone all the bolts. That should pull out of there. Yep. Okay. Just keep it a little rattle there. Just shook it around and it came free. So now, see the drive shaft just wants to drop downwards. That's why I unplugged the sensor earlier. Right, the gasket that just dropped off the end. Take that with me. And I've got to take all of these bolts out. Keep the spaces. Now I'm going to change over drive shaft place. I'm going to swap it. This one, the boot was totally torn open, lost all its grease. I'll explain later why I recommend doing the whole shaft and not messing around with the CV joint. But right now I need to race to the drive shaft place before they close on a Saturday. Off I go. Alright, so I am back with a reconditioned, genuine Volkswagen part, which is the proper one for the car. The one that came off was actually a bit too thin. It was an aftermarket shaft. This is a rebuilt, genuine Volkswagen shaft. So, brand new CV joints, quality rubber boots. And one thing that happened with the old shaft is the metal cap stayed in the gearbox end. So it came out looking like this. So it's quite jammed in there, so I'm just going to keep that metal cap. So exactly the same part. I've popped this one off, swapped my cork gasket over. Look at that, plenty of grease in this one. And then I'm going to reinstall it back onto the car carefully, starting those threaded bolts with hand tools. Now, the reason why I didn't just change the CV boot is because you could re-grease it or reboot it and the joint could still rattle on turns, or could be knackered, or could break soon anyway. Another reason is the changeover units are just so much easier with the way that you do the work. You'd need a pretty hefty bench vise to hold this, to be removing the joints. The inner CV joints are actually not a nice job to do on these. Very fiddly, extremely messy. Grease is going to go everywhere. You could have a seized up joint on the shaft, and you're going to have headaches, and things are going to get damaged when you're whacking them with a hammer, so you cause more damage. Also, these metal clips, they require a special tool. If you use cable ties, they don't work. Look under your car if you've done a dry shaft boot with cable ties, and within 6 months I guarantee it'll be popped off, or it'll be at least leaking grease. They do not hold. So don't have the special clip tool with me, don't have a bench vise with me. It's so cheap, but it's so cheap these days, and you get warranty with a changeover shaft. Now there is a bit of grease here and there, still a little bit, tiny bit messy, but nowhere near as messy as if I had attempted to do the boots. I would be caked in it, you wouldn't even see white on my skin. Alright, so I'm going to get back into it. Always start with hand tools because it's very easy to cross thread the bolts, and your shaft needs to be wobbled straight, flush with the flange from the transmission as well. Had to wobble that around there to get that to start. Okay, lifting up on the drive shaft helps line it up straighter. Can also move the other wheel, and then that will also turn the shaft. keep going around. I haven't got it in that hub end yet. Just easier to spin it like this. Keep working around. Make sure they're all found their way in. Okay. Then I'm going to zip them in with the gun to make it a bit easier, but then I'm going to go round again with my ratchets and make sure that I'm happy with them. Oh, hand tight, very nice. And tight. So now I'm back in this hub end here. I know that the bolts are quite working their way in. Just want to do them all the way up, but I'm not going to go mad with this gun. Alright, now I'm going to leave the screwdriver in, go under there and give them a final tighten up. Once I've got that tight, I'm going to scratch a mark on the first bolt that I've tightened up. Now it's messy right now because the grease has sort of come through where it was pushing onto the plate. That will clean up in a minute with brake cleaner. I'll wipe it all down. And I've put a scratch mark on this bolt here. That's the first one that's fully tight. So that when I keep going round, I know that when I get to my scratch mark, they're all tight. I haven't got to keep going around in circles wondering where I'm at with it. Alright. Alright. So that's all wiped down. I did actually recheck the bolt that I put the scratch mark on, and it still went tighter this time. Because the shaft is slowly pushing its way into this coupling that had stayed jammed on the transmission. And that can happen, that's quite common, so that's fine. There's nothing wrong with this cup here. That other drive shaft, by the way, I think was only about 5 years old or something like that, maybe a bit older. This is from a what seems a much better drive shaft reconditioner. We wasn't overly impressed with the parts that had been used on the last one, so I got more confidence, and this is the proper shaft. So yeah, by the time I had to go round, I spent 5-10 minutes just going around those bolts constantly. So I wouldn't, like, I removed it from the outside with a gun. I wouldn't just do that without being able to see exactly what's going on down to here, because I have seen bolts go cross-threaded. If this doesn't sit straight, the bolt will go in and it will mangle threads up, and yeah, don't do that. So just take your time, do it all up by hand. With the hub nut, the other bolt on the other end, I'm going to use a torque wrench, but these are just fine with just a good tighten up with a ratchet, to be honest. Nice long ratchet. You can read into torque settings if you like, but I've never seen anyone do it on the hundreds of drive shafts that I have seen being replaced. Alright, so I pulled the drive shaft right back into the hub, put the bolts on loose. I put a tiny bit of Loctite on there, you don't really need it, even the ones that haven't been Loctited will be an absolute pain to get apart in a few years time, but I've done it just because people might criticise me if I don't. So, that's in, this is in, going in, that's on there. Okay. Just for speed purposes, just going to slowly buzz this nut in, but I'm not going to rattle it tight. I'm just going to pull this. Just going to loosen it off again. Just wanted to make sure it went home all the way. Loosen it off. Alright. That's just nipped in. I'll get back to that. Sway bar link back on. Guns just on low power. Sway bar links. This spanners, if you want, I'm just doing it to speed things up for this video. I don't need it on high power on my gun anymore. Just go on second speed. It's fine. It's more than tight enough. And 16mm. Again, they don't have to be overly tight. They never come undone. The design of these nuts are fine. Check them with a hand ratchet for peace of mind. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that doesn't need to be any tighter, that one. Okay, so that's all done up. Oh, by the way, I had a clean up. Earlier behind here with all the old CV grease. Still a bit up here with some brake cleaner. Just to get rid of the old grease that had leaked. Alright, time to torque up the hub nut, drive shaft nut, and I can put the trims back on and it's done. Trick here, if you're going to use the screwdriver trick, put a wheel bolt in, then all the force doesn't just go on that retainer screw there on the disc, and snap that off. That can happen. Okay. 200 Newton meters plus 180 degrees. So imagine that after a few years of rusting in there too. That's why I nearly broke tools getting it off. Okay. 200 Newton meters on the torque wrench. I'm going to get an assistant to put the foot on the brake. So 200 Newton meters with the wheel off, and then I'll put it all back together, pop the centre cap out of the wheel, and the wheel on the ground is when you do that final 180. I don't think it's really necessary. I think 200 meters would be more, Newton meters would be more than enough, but I'll give this one vehicle spec. 200 Newton meters. Alright. If I went to do another 180 right now, I'd probably break all this, you know, risk it. So, yeah, you can take your foot off the brake now, thanks. By the way, don't forget to plug your oil level sensor back in the sump, which I've just done. Trims are all back on. The easiest way to get the centre cap out without destroying it is to just tap it from the inside. Don't go picking with screwdrivers. Luckily this is quite new because they can fall apart. Anyway, so that is now out without scratching the rim. Yeah, anyway, it's already got scratches, but don't want more scratches around the centre cap, so you do that, the wheel will go on, the car will be on the ground, and then through that hole. It's going to be interesting because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do 180 degrees, so let's go 90, take it back up, another 90. Right. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that without putting the scaffold bar or something on the outside of here, which I returned back to my friend's workshop. Alright. Can't even get 90 degrees with that after doing 200 Newton meters.